Communication. We already started talking about some of that. Most of the communication, the majority of the communication is nonverbal communication, so be careful of your body language. This is something I've had to work on a lot. In fact, one of my assistant coaches brought to my attention a couple years ago. I'd put my head down. I'd shake my head a lot. I'd talk to my players with my arms crossed like this. And I wasn't trying to be standoffish. I wasn't trying to, when things didn't go our way, I didn't mean to give up on the team and shake my head like that. That wasn't my intention. Clearly, that wasn't my intention. But that's the way it was perceived by some of my players. My assistant coaches brought that to my attention. It was really valuable that they did that. So I'm very conscious of my body language during a game and during practices when I'm talking to parents especially. Again, I always have a tendency to do this. And I don't mean any disrespect by this, but crossing your arms could mean like, you're very aloof, you don't really care what someone has to say.
Yeah, nonverbal negativity is way worse than verbal negativity because you don't know what the coach means by just what he said here or like this, or throw your eyes up in the air. You can guess. But verbal, you can be direct right away. It doesn't have to be negative. I mean, I've been negative, but I try not. The older I get, the less negative. But I try to be specific to the point right away. And after the game, there was absolutely no grudges. You don't carry it, I'm going to carry this for weeks. No, it's over. But hopefully you pull a player aside and say, this is what I want. This is what is needed in baseball, not what I want. This is what the team wants. Okay? And here's what you did, and here's what you should do. And therefore, you really project out of something that happened poorly or negatively on the field, you can turn it into a positive if you just correct the problem right there. Yelling instructions when you're pitching, when you're out in the field, when you're batting, I find that to be, as a player and as a coach, distracting and unnecessary. Distracting to the players, unnecessary for coaches. You wait until they get out, back to the dugout. Or you call timeout, you go out to the pitcher, and you explain. If you've done research on pitching, you say, here's what you're doing wrong, and here's what I think you're doing wrong if you don't know, and try to correct it, or just try to settle them down, because pitchers get emotional. Okay, they can't throw strikes, the umpire's squeezing them, whatever. Which again, don't even bother with youth umpires. Okay, and I've heard fans just be brutalize youth umpires. It's ridiculous. They get $10, $15 a game. They're out there, and they're out there for the benefit of the kids. And they don't know. They probably don't know the difference between a strike and a ball. But never yell at them. I mean, you can't get really high school umpires that get paid $60 to $100 a game. This is what you get. And some kids are going to be good if you just okay, let them umpire. But yelling instructions during a game like throw strikes, it's an unnecessary thing to say. I want a pitcher turning around and say, well, okay, you're the coach. Tell me how to throw strikes. That's an unnecessary and incorrect way of correcting pitchers. You wait and say, hey, look, you're taking the ball out of the glove wrong, you're landing wrong, just something like that, but not throw strikes. I hear that in the stands. Coach and I, we hear this all the time. 30 years in the business, 35 years in the business. Put your elbow up. Well, why? I've heard many, New Trier, Barrington, Kenilworth, Glencoe, Lincoln Park, Southside, put your elbow up. Well, why? It's wrong. Because the first thing you do when you have your elbow up is to drop it. So why not have it there? Plus, it gives you a longer span to get to the ball, and all you'll do is pop up or miss the pitch. But I still hear that. Get your elbow up. Well, why? First of all, when you have your elbow up, your grip's wrong. So you're going to yell out instructions that are going to be wrong. So wait until you get to the dugout and make sure you know what you're talking about, which is watching our videos, on YouTube, Facebook, and our website, the manual, okay, or call us. We're happy to answer any questions, just as long as you're not telling them the wrong thing to do.